Egea. Keep running without.
Good evening, dobrodošli, dobra večer, and welcome to the OZ CRO Soccer Show. It is episode 8, and boy, have we got a great program for you. My name is Tonci Prusat, and to my right, or to my left, is that right, is, introduce yourself.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm Josip Živković, and I'm the co-host alongside Tonci to bring you the OZ CRO Soccer Show tonight. We're looking forward to a belter of a show and catching up with none other than Newcastle Croatia, coming to us live from their club rooms. And also, Tonci, we've got a couple of special guests joining us.
Awesome guests, and I can't wait. Directly from Croatia, two young guns, two ex-North Geelong Warrior young guns, Luka Skoko and Nicholas Volarevic. Two gentlemen that both yourself, Josip, and myself know very well from down here in Geelong. It is going to be awesome. I can't wait to listen to the guys from Newcastle, because they're going to tell us how. Well, basically, Newcastle Croatia is our youngest member of the Australian Croatian soccer fraternity. Although they have been around for a while, we'll find out all about the history. We'll find out, and I've got some fantastic nicknames. The guys that are joining us. I mean, there's the Rumun. There's the Bosanski. What is it? The Bosnian.
No, there's the Bugojno. I forgot what they call him. Something from Luka's family's from Bugojno.
Yeah.
And then you go Živka, the mad Lichan, and then
the Rumun himself, the coach.
And then you got the guy behind the scenes who wouldn't come on the camera tonight, but young Dennis Marincic. They call him the decision maker. So he's the school teacher. He's in charge. Slaps them across the wrists when they cross the line.
He's I guess the wife of the family. He's the decision maker. International Women's Day.
The glava.
Yeah. Absolutely. The old Croatian saying, "Svaki četvrti stupanj in the household is held by the woman." So a big shout out to all the ladies, all the girls involved with all of our
International Women's Day yesterday, wasn't it?
Yesterday was in Međunarodni dan žena. So I do not know one Australian Croatian soccer club where there aren't at least a few women heavily involved, and where would we be without them? So big shout out.
Great to see that diversity increase over the years. I mean, one that close to our hearts at North Geelong. I think we've got now 5 or 6 on the executive committee. So it's fantastic to see.
Absolutely. Episode 8, Josip. I mean, seriously, you're going to hear this a lot from me tonight. I can't believe it's episode 8. Looking back, some of the clubs we've featured: Gorspic Bears, O'Connor Knights, Gold Coast Knights, Zagreb, Hurstville, St Albans Dinamo, Strathmore Split, and tonight Newcastle Croatia. The list is amazing, but we've got so many other clubs as well. And any clubs out there, if they'd love to be featured, like Newcastle Croatia. Actually, is it Newcastle Croatia or Newcastle Croatia?
Newcastle.
By the Novocastrians.
Newcastle, mate. Newcastle's a southerner thing.
Newcastle. Yeah. No, what do they call us? The Mexicans down in south of the border in Victoria.
That's it.
So if your club wants to be involved, send us an email at ozcrosoccershow@gmail.com, ozcrosoccershow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Absolutely. There's so much going on, and we'd love to hear, as I said, from your clubs. And there's a ticker, something brand new that we've introduced this week. So send us an email there at OZ CRO SOCCER SHOW.
Tonci, you've got all the tricks in the bag.
We have, exactly. Mate, let's get on with the news straight away. Without further ado, Josip, what's making news this week?
Well, first let's start off at the Apple Isle, mate. Glenorchy Knights. Glenorchy Knights have had their summer campaign come to an end, unfortunately. Just in the dying stages there, they had a 1-0 loss on the weekend. And so they now have to, I think, finish off their pre-season with some practice matches, and then they'll head off into the season regular. So that loss they had was, sorry, it wasn't a 1-0 loss, 3-2 loss to Clarence Zebras there. I beg your pardon. I was trying to read a little bit too ahead of myself, and I got a little bit tied up. But so that's Glenorchy Knights senior team. But I think their junior teams are doing quite well too, looking at what they've been posting up during the week. We can head over to New South Wales though, Tonci.
Yep.
And I know we'll catch up with the guys from Newcastle Croatia, so we'll leave them to talk about their latest and greatest news. But Sydney United had a big weekend and kicking off their NPL action in a 1-0 in a feisty affair against Wollongong Wolves. There was a couple of send-offs there. But they got things underway, and Vlastelica scored for them. I saw a little bit of the action on NPL TV. It did have a bit of spite in the game, but good to see the guys have got away to a good start. Hurstville Zagreb also kicked off their campaign, are kicking off their campaign. They're coming up against Camden Tigers at home this week on Saturday at 5 p.m. at their home ground at Penzance Park. So the locals come out and support Hurstville Zagreb, who we had on the show recently. We'll venture on to the nation's capital, mate. And in the NPL men's is now a few weeks off. I think there was a bit of a reset there with their fixture, but they're the Canberra Croatia women, a strong outfit that they are, and they always present well, as we've seen over the years at the Crow Tourney, Tonci. A 6-0 win over West Canberra there in the Charity Shield. So that's a great way to get yourself ready for the season, putting away half a dozen and sort of set your sights for the league. So good luck to the women, and very timely, this being International Women's Week, that we put that up there.
Now down to Victoria, is that right?
Yeah, let's head over to Big Vic, and the big news out there of the week. I know this may have surprised many, but I was commenting on your show. I wasn't surprised at all. St Albans outfit looks like a real red-hot team this year, and they had a 1-0 win against league favourite Avondale. And I think Avondale were a little bit asleep, a little bit caught unawares about the attributes that St Albans bring to the table here. So well done to Crooney and the team for getting that result and putting yourselves in and amongst the mix in the top 6 now. The St Albans also received news that their cup fixture draw for the Australia Cup has come out, and they're facing Melton Phoenix in the week commencing 21st of March. So good luck to the guys in that upcoming fixture.
And I think Melton Phoenix, I think there's state 5, so you'd expect them to do pretty well there.
And an opportunity for some of the fringe players to get running their legs as well, Tonci.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Another big win for the week for another Croatian club was Dandy City, mate, getting their first win on the board, 2-1. So we're delighted for Mickey and Steve and the boys. The win over Hume City, and we know Hume City has always been a prickly customer over the years in the Victorian NPL. Not an easy achievement to get a win over them, regardless if you're home or away. So, yeah, well done to the Dandy City outfit there for getting themselves off the bottom of the ladder. And they also got their Aussie Cup draw, but they got the bye, Tonci. So I don't know if that's going to be a welcome break or interruption to progress. We'll see after this weekend's round, right?
True, very true. Moving along, Melbourne Knights, the eternal derby, whatever you want to call it, the original derby. Unfortunately, not good news there, but there is some good news with regards to the club, I guess, off the field. But I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, so they did have a 2-0 loss to South Melbourne, and not the sort of progress that they want to make in terms of where they started off in round 1 and where they've got 5 goals now in the last 2 games. But I think they can take a little bit of focus onto their juniors and what's happening in the background there. Coming off the press under-19s coach who we had on the show not too long ago, Josip Živković, along with his colleague Peter Kripa, who was also part of the 98 World Cup team as the chief football instructor from the Croatian Football Federation, are coming down to Australia, and they'll be at Melbourne Knights with the specific task of setting up some training and some skill sessions and trying to do some talent identification at the same time. In and amongst this, the massive news that comes as a result of it and the work that's being done behind the scenes is a scholarship opportunity for young boys and girls to get themselves involved in. So no doubt the club will release more information as this comes to hand and starts to get closer to the April dates. So keep your eyes and ears peeled so that you can put yourself in a position. And this is exclusively for the Melbourne Knights juniors. So, well done to the crew, and we look forward to seeing that come to fruition for not just for Melbourne Knights, but also could be for the Croatian football system that can find themselves, the next Viduka or and the next Skoko who can come up into the Croatian leagues and show a bit of flair and talent. And go ahead.
The good news are happening across the border there in South Australia. Adelaide, Croatia have started their season, and they managed to get the first win of the season.
Yeah, that's a nice 2-0 win against Adelaide Hills Hawks, and Adelaide Hills had a good start to the year. So good to see that them chalking it up. And a debutant, a young man, Gildas Gomvikesva. I hope I pronounced that right, Gildas, so excuse me if I haven't. He's been at Adelaide, Croatia since he was 10 years old and got his debut, got on the score sheet. So well done to Adelaide, Croatia.
So they're now in 5th position on the ladder with 4 points. 5 points behind Modbury Jets, who have recorded 3 wins from 3 games. And they're kind of sitting mid-table, if you like. And they will come up against, I believe it's Port Adelaide this Saturday night, 7 p.m. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the Port Adelaide's home ground. It's a Nagabatalulu Taparu Reserve or something along those lines. I'm sure I've absolutely botched that up.
Good attempt, mate. That's all right.
Yeah. But they're playing away to Adelaide. Port Adelaide have won 1 and lost 2 times, twice out of their 3 games. So hopefully Adelaide, Croatia can notch up their 2nd win of the season and start their ascent up towards the top of the table. Over to WA. What's happening over in
look, Western Knights. Western Knights, who we'll have on the show in a couple of weeks' time. They unfortunately have their Summer Cup campaign come to an end also. A 3-0 loss in the semi-final to Olympic Kingsway. But I think the Western Knights outfit will be quite happy with the progress of the team and where they got themselves to. And that's a great preparation for them with a couple of weeks away from their league kicking off as well.
And finally, we're moving to Queensland.
Queensland, yeah. So no action in terms of the league so far after the floods. We may have caught some video footage of during the week, Brisbane, Croatia's home ground and their club rooms inundated with water. I mean, it was great to see the community come out supporting the club, cleaning up, getting damaged material out for the tip trucks to come and collect. Heartbreaking scenes to watch, and this is their 2nd time in recent years. So I hope the people are holding up okay and manage to get in some rest after the massive output they put in. And I think the leagues are all back on track for 19th of March, mate. So both them and Gold Coast Knights will be back in action, not this weekend, but the weekend after.
Fantastic, yeah. If you want to see some footage of that cleanup and the debris as well, go to the Brisbane Croatia Facebook page. It's quite, it goes into quite a fair bit of detail there as well. That brings us to the end of the Australian-Croatian scene. We're going to take a very, very short break. When we do return, we will be then having the Croatian scene. Lots happening. A lot is happening over there. It's just incredible, just trying to keep on top of things. Don't go away, folks. It's episode 8 of the OZ CRO Soccer Show. We will be back after a few words from our sponsors. I love that ad. I love this Slavicek studio architecture. Rob Slavicek, big supporter of the show, out in WA, Perth, but he can do all your architectural work wherever you are. Makes me almost want to start buying a new house or designing a new house, Josip.
They're very inspiring designs. And I went on the website the other day and they just had a sticky beak around the place. I think I shouldn't do that because then you start getting a little bit pie in the sky. And like I said, I am in the midst of kicking off a build at the minute. So it's the wrong time to be starting to go all design mode.
Big shout out to our business sponsors of this week's Slavicek Studio Architecture and Sportal Legeia as well. Big supporters of the show. And indeed, our sponsor for tonight, Newcastle Croatia Soccer Club. We'll be hearing a little bit later from them. But Josip, last week we egged a certain club in Croatia to do well. And lo and behold, in the second division, Čovječe Božji, poslušali su nas. They won over the weekend. Tell us a bit more about this club.
Look, Cibalia is in Vinkovci. Now, if you don't know where Vinkovci is, it's on your way to Vukovar when you're coming from Zagreb direction. You go, you go and past sort of Gradište and you're going to Slavonia and you're heading out towards Vukovar. Vinkovci is the oldest town in Europe, actually, in terms of what its claim to fame. So Cibalia got themselves off the deck in a 2-1 win over Jarun. So importantly, what that does for them is also lifts them off the lower rungs of the table and gives them just a little bit of respite and breathing space away from the drop zone, mate.
Yeah, straight away looking at the Druga Liga table there. We'll start off with what's happening in the second division. It's a very interesting division. We keep on saying there's 5 teams at the bottom that are going to get relegated at season's end. Only the top team automatically qualifies. Now, Varaždin, who is my absolute favourite in the second division, I really would love to see them get promoted. They've opened up a 5-point gap there at the top. Rudeš, second place, does have a game in hand, but Varaždin did really well. I think it was 2-0 win over Kustošija. So they're doing extremely well in that second division, sorry. But look, in the first division, Josip, we will bring up the ladder there now. There's the ladder. Look, interesting times ahead. Hajduk lost on the weekend. Rijeka just seems to be getting back into contention. Osijek dropped points. Dinamo are back at top. You know, they've got a game in hand. But look, we'll talk about the big derby happening this Saturday. But tomorrow morning, Osijek and Rijeka do battle in what should be, you know, an absolute ding-dong affair. It's the semi-final of the HNS Cup. Hajduk are already in, so Osijek or Rijeka will get in. So one of those 3 clubs, Osijek, Rijeka or Hajduk, will eventually take the cup, I suppose.
Yeah.
Always good.
Well, the first and foremost, the winner of that gives them a foot in the door in Europa, right? So in terms of qualifying for that, so a massive game, and not much can split Osijek and Rijeka in recent history as well. So look, this is one of those ones that you think will probably end up going down to extra time or penalties, mate. Yeah,
it's 4 o'clock kickoff, our time. It is on YouTube. It is on the HN TV channel if you can get internet TV. Josip, I wanted to talk something different this week about the coaches, and I'm not talking about the coaches in the Big Four. I'm talking about the coaches in sort of the middle run Prva HNL competition. Gorica appointed a new coach, Samir Toplak. There he is on the left-hand side.
Yep.
Now, Toplak is a bit of a journeyman. He goes to a lot of different clubs. He's been there. I think he's coached at something like 270 games, and he's just like 20 off, I think the 4th best placed or 3rd best most coached coach in the HNL since its inception back in 1991. He's got Gorica, and almost immediately there was a good result over the weekend. So Gorica smashed Dragovoljac 4-0. All right, Dragovoljac is sort of bottom of the table, so I guess that doesn't really say much. But nonetheless, nonetheless, it's a big result. But
Is he the Croatian version of Sammy Allardyce?
yeah, probably. Actually,
He's a man with a job, and he gets the job done, right?
That's probably the best way to describe him. He's sort of like the fix-it man and gets around. I know he's been at Inter Zaprešić. He was at Varaždin. Also now at Gorica. Lokomotiva, I do believe. At one stage, he was also touted as a possible Dinamo Zagreb coach. But what's happening, interestingly, at Slaven Belupo, that's Zoran Zekic. He was a bit of a legend in his playing days as well. I think he played for Osijek. If I'm not mistaken, he played for a club called Kamen Ingrad, if anyone can remember that. A club, it was basically a village that had, I don't know, a couple of thousand inhabitants, but they had the best stadium. It was just an incredible stadium. Zoran Zekic has been appointed to what you would describe as the English manager type role at Slaven Belupo. So he's got someone who's going to be the coach, but he's just going to be running it. Now, this is happening a lot in Croatian football. Nenad Bjelica at Osijek assumes that type of a role as well. It seems to be becoming more and more of a thing in Croatian football. Mate, your thoughts with the Croatian mentality and the way Croatians run their football, the English-style manager, where he becomes more of a manager as opposed to just a coach, good thing or a bad thing for Croatian football?
Look, I think it ultimately would be a good thing. I think what it shows is that they want to progress into the realms and the types of management that we've seen around the rest of Europe. I know we call it the English style manager, but it's commonplace in Italy and Germany. Probably a little bit less so in your France, and probably even in Spain, it's a bit more hands-on. Whereas we've become to know as we've called it before, the English style of manager, they tend to be that focal point, the linchpin that gets things organised and wants to grab the reports about who's performing, who's not, and what can be the best possible outcome. What it does, like I said, what it shows is that they want to be seen as progressive, and maybe that will allow them to build a platform for the years to come where they can, adopt academy style systems. Where at the moment, I think relying on the tiers of the league to bring through talent. Well, maybe this is their foray into the academy style system for themselves.
Well, we will find out what it's like in the Croatian in the Croatian football scene, and in particular at some of the lower league clubs, and just the type of atmosphere, the type of environment. A little later on in the show tonight, when we speak to our two guests, former North Geelong Warrior team, young guns, Luka Skoko and Nicholas Volarevic, who have basically playing professional football in Croatia, in and around the Split area. Now, the third, coaching appointment, interesting coaching appointments just happened in the last couple of days, and there's a bit of an Australian-Croatian connection here. The new coach of MK Šibenik is none other than the legend from Hajduk Split down at Računica, who for a time, along with Aljoša Asanović, Aljoša Asanović was the coach at the Melbourne Knights, and Računica was his deputy. So he knows the Australian-Croatian scene very, very well at Računica.
Yeah, he'll know the Australian-Croatian scene, and so when you think about what Melbourne Knights are going through with Simo coming down for this setup, it bodes well for an opportunity to pick up talented youth to come through our Croatian clubs in Australia. But also, look, just the fact that Dejan's been picked up for this job, he's got a fantastic resume to look at. And even when you think about, he was with Slaven Bilic in recent times at West Bromwich Albion as well, and spending some time in China. So I think it's a great move for Šibenik, and maybe it might be the difference between them hanging around the drop zone or staying up. All in all, for the players, I think they should be aware, because he is a taskmaster and he will get them firing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think unless you're Hrvatski dragovoljac, you can pretty much rest assured you'll be in the HNL Prva Liga next year. It's 13 points gap at the moment after 26 rounds. Turning our attention to round 27, Šibenik will take on Lokomotiva Friday night or early Saturday morning our time. Slaven Belupo host Istra. Hrvatski Dragovoljac taking on Rijeka early hours of Monday morning, and Osijek are at home to Gorica 3 o'clock Monday morning. But the big game, and it is officially a sellout. Saturday night, or should I say Sunday morning Australian time, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Hajduk Split taking on Dinamo Zagreb. And look, if Hajduk lose, you could pretty much say that's it for the. I mean, it's never say never, but it'll be a big task for them to get back into the challenge for the top spot. Dinamo basically will open up a sizable gap. This is if you think game in hand, they could potentially, and look at their goal difference as well, 3 points plus goal difference. It's a game that's. Josip, when they say 6-pointer, this is it, isn't it?
It's 6-pointer. Look, but you also got to look at it on a little bit on the flip side. So let's look at it. If Hajduk take out the 3 points, right, and Osijek get their way against Gorica, all of a sudden that ladder becomes in Osijek's favour.
Yeah,
because that the tight point gaps will really be compressed to put pressure on. And, Osijek now have a bit of a run where they're not playing the top few teams, which they've done in the previous weeks ahead of these games coming up. So it would be in Osijek's favour.
And there we go. Last but not least, let's turn our attention to the BiH Liga. Look, I love seeing our Croatian teams doing well in BiH, in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and especially when they're on top the way they are at the moment. Zrinski have done a ripper job, and they continue to do exceptionally well. Look at that. They're now
strength there.
16 points at the top there. Tuzla City. I wonder if they're part of the Manchester City conglomerate. Are they part of the City group?
No.
The Manchester City tentacles have now moved into Bosnia, have they?
You never know. You never know.
Does anyone know about that? If anyone in the comment section knows if there is some sort of a connection between, they could be Melbourne City's sister club, Tuzla City.
You never know. They've done it with Melbourne City. Why can't they do it with Tuzla?
Yeah, absolutely. So, some big things happening overseas. Starting with tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock. It's the big cup game. Osijek versus Rijeka, or Rijeka versus Osijek, I should say. And then straight after that, we've got the big derby on Saturday. Now, apparently, we're going to get some exclusive footage of all the action at the Poljud Stadium, I believe. We'll find out a little bit later on in the program, but we do have some actual visual evidence of that, haven't we? I think we do.
Yeah, that's right. But we'll definitely be putting the pressure on to get that direct access. Awesome. I think the Poljud will be acting as the 12th man on that day, mate, for sure.
Now, one of our sponsors, we've got to move on very, very quickly because the gents from Newcastle, Croatia are itching to get on, and we're going to talk to them very, very shortly. But, mate, Josip, you want to mention, for those that don't know, one of our sponsors is Sports Portal, or Leđaja, and they sponsor quite a few of the Croatian clubs. But mate, you're going to start a very, very special role with one of our sponsors very, very shortly. Did you want to mention?
I'll be. I announced it last week, but I'll be picking the reins up for the Queensland and Northern New South Wales areas as the Sports Portal representative, and speaking with clubs and schools and associations, not just for football, but all sports, because they do cover a lot of basketball, volleyball as well, and just general leisure wear as well too. So, and not to forget the futsal as well. We've got a big presence. Leđaja has a big presence in futsal around the world. So I'll be looking forward to speaking with clubs about their needs for their apparel and merchandise. And to top it off, Sports Portal also provides your equipment needs with your bibs, cones, goals, pop-ups, all sorts of things. So, watch out for my introductions, and I'll be looking forward to catching up with people in Queensland and New South Wales.
Leđaja, keep running without.
Welcome back
Tonci.
to the OZ CRO Soccer Show. Josip,
We've got an answer.
what's the
We've got an
answer?
answer. Well, FK Tuzla in June 2018 changed the club name from FK Sloga Simin Han to FK Tuzla City. So I think Tuzla City comes off the tongue a little easier.
So they're not owned by no sheiks or anything like that, oil sheiks and whatever. No.
No, but I gather them, as well as a myriad of other clubs, would put their hand up for a little bit of shake love.
Exactly right. Closer to home, mate. One of the most exciting stories in the last 12 months has been the resurgence or the renaissance, if you like, of a once forgotten, almost neglected, call it that, soccer club from the Hunter region of New South Wales. But they're back, bigger and better, and the enthusiasm is just absolutely, well, what's the word, palpable. Mate, it's a club that's very dear to your heart. So yeah. I think it's only fair that you introduce our very, very first guest for tonight.
Thanks, Tonci. I'd like to bring to you for our first guest from Newcastle, Croatia, none other than Mr. Karl Živković.
Good evening, gents. How are you?
Good evening, Živka.
A big hello from the Crown and Anchor Hotel in lovely Newcastle.
Wonderful. Are you keeping the staff busy?
We are indeed. The boys are outside helping themselves to a lovely banquet of food, and we're helping out with the alcohol side of things.
Živka, very good. Is that one of the sponsors? Is that one of the many, many sponsors of Newcastle Croatia?
Certainly is. The wonderful Diaz brothers they've been fantastic. They've come on board and they're just rolling out the red carpet.
We thank the Crown and Anchor for jumping on board and helping you guys with the Renaissance, as Tonci put it a little earlier. And speaking of such, Karl, congratulations on the initiative to jump on board and to get this going all over again. How are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about it at the moment?
Yeah, good. Everyone's pumped. Absolutely, everyone. Everything's going gung ho. We feel like kids back in kindergarten, having eating lollies behind the teacher's back. It's been fantastic.
Karl, tell us a bit about the history of Newcastle Croatia, and in fact, let's say the Newcastle Croatian community. While you're talking, we're going to have a little bit of I think some footage here of some old photos and what you're not. But yeah, tell us a bit about that. How the club sort of maybe fell away, and then the idea of how it was brought back to life, so to speak.
Okay, all right. Well, we started back in 1984 with the same president that we actually have now, Zdenko Kunovic. He was our initial president. Bunch of Croatian guys, community people got together, started the team off. We spent 2 years in 5th division, moved our way all the way up to 1st division in consecutive years. And we peaked back in the early 90s, so 92 and 94, we made the grand final in what is the equivalent of the NPL these days, Newcastle 1st division. We had a lot of high-quality players. We had the likes of Mr. Newcastle, Andy Roberts, Michael Bogart, the father of Michael Bogart Jr., who played for the Jets up until last year.
Nigel's dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had some wonderful players also coming from Sydney. We had guest appearances from the likes of Ante Milicic, Matthew Zertz, and Sean Babic. So Sean Babic liked to play so much, he ended up marrying a lovely girl from Newcastle and lives up here to this day.
He married your last Miss Newcastle Croatia, didn't he?
Yes, he did indeed.
There you go. Well, a bit of history. He's come to be part of the wonderful presence of Newcastle Croatia and taken it home with him. That's how much he loved it.
He did indeed. He did. With the reformation of the club, I think what kicked it off was the World Cup final. Basically, I got back from Croatia probably a few months just before the World Cup final, and the energy that generated, it got everyone together again. I think the Newcastle Croatian community hadn't been together for something like 15 years. We organised a night on that night, and it was just fantastic seeing people get together again. We had 400 people jam-packing in our club, and what most people said was, gee, we should do this more often. And so that initiated the drive for it. So just having friends that you haven't seen for so long, was fantastic. So what we started doing was we had a few nights of Friday night football, organising some local things, some local games, just trying to get the community back in. It started to work. And then I got a phone call off a few of the boys from the old team, and they wanted to have a reunion. So we organised that, and I think you saw in some of the photos there, some of the old guys together. And we spoke about, re-establishing the club. The idea was thrown around. I got onto the hooter, made a few phone calls, rang up Mr. Mudinčić himself, who was the first person to come on board. And as we like to call him, he's our principal, actually. And I'm the little Johnny in the corner, the naughty Johnny, and he's the guy who keeps us all in line.
You're the guy like the firecrackers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So from that, we had a little six-a-side tournament with the guys from Herstal Zagreb and Warrington, Croatia came up. We had and Edinson Park girls. That went off fantastically. Got a few more players, and to our surprise, there were some fantastic players up here. So, we got together and we said, how about we have a meeting to get the club going again? And from that, we established the club.
Well done. And in saying in your establishment, you gave me a little bit of an insight with regards to the paperwork and the extensive work you had to do to compile an application to enter.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. Those plans look pretty extensive, and there's some really good aspirations in there as well. What do you want to get your claws stuck into over the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, what we'd like to do is establish some juniors. That was always our failing in initial Newcastle Croatia. We failed to have any juniors. We might have had one or two under 16 to 18 teams. So hopefully in that application that was put together mostly by Mr. Mudinčić and myself, we sort of focused on the Wickham Master Plan, which is the area where we're located.
Yeah, so
that's undergoing a huge renewal, and so the suburb itself is going to have about 4,000 extra people moving into the area. So we'd like to take advantage of that to the fullest. You can see on that picture that you have up at the moment, you've got the club located at the top of the picture. Passmore Oval was our old home ground, which is directly behind the.
That's the one with the red brick stand, isn't it? That Passmore Oval. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. So we won't be able to play there because that's taken by the local rugby team. What we're hoping to do is work with council and establish a football focused field on Thomas Armstrong Oval.
Okay.
And if we can start off with mini roos in the next year or so, we'd like to sort of convert those bowling greens that we have right out the front of the club and have the football right on our bowling greens. And I think that was a big thing with council, that it's okay. We've got the possibility of having up to 2 or 3 mini roof fields right out front of the club.
Fantastic. And that incorporation with the Croatia club there on site, is it still intertwined with the football side of things, or is it run separately?
It is. We are actually a subcommittee of the club.
Yep.
So we're an integral part of the sports club. Yes.
Yeah. And for the people out there, Tonci, who haven't been there, it's a fantastic big patio veranda, old school style New South Wales type building. You think you're out sort of somewhere Barrel maybe when you stand out in the veranda. But it's quite retro, but it's lovely and homely.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful location.
Yeah. Tell me the Newcastle Croatian community. How big is it? And is it, have you had a fair bit of influx of, say, younger people or younger families maybe in the last 20, 30 years since independence, or is it an ageing community? Tell us a little bit about the actual community itself.
I think it's very much an ageing community. It's a bit of a mix. You've got the old Croatian community where it's very ageing. A lot of people move to Sydney because we're so close to Newcastle. I spent 15 years down there, and lots of us moved down and stayed, and also moved further afield to Melbourne. But now we're starting to get a lot of people fleeing Victoria for good reason, and they're coming up and actually spending some time here. So we've got a few younger families that have moved in from Melbourne, Sydney, from Wollongong. It's actually really good to see. That has brought a bit of a rebirth as well with it. But I appeal to everybody, move up here. It's a wonderful place.
It is.
A lot better than Queensland, Gillian.
Yeah, well, next stop.
I had some great memories of Newcastle in my time many years ago when I was on board the Melbourne Knights, and a couple of times we actually travelled to Newcastle, and I believe Vlado Vanish's might have been one of his first games interstate. Might have been at Newcastle when the Knights defeated Newcastle, and I do vividly remember there was a group of local Croats that came along to the game, very happy, very excited. So, and one thing that struck me about being short time that I was up there, how much of a football city it actually is. When I say football, soccer. On the bus I counted that many soccer fields, more than rugby fields, and definitely more than AFL fields. Really had that feel of you're almost like that in Europe. Has much changed in the last 20 or so years?
Oh, you've still got that core old West Scottish and English mining community in the Hunter Valley, and we're football through and through. But with the Newcastle Knights coming in the rugby league, a lot of them have generated towards rugby league, but you still have that. You still have a very firm base of football-loving people in the area. Definitely. And I think you saw that back in the old days of the old NSL when we had Newcastle KB United. There was huge numbers would turn up to every home match. So, yeah, it is. It's one of those places that people don't often associate football with the city, but it is. It's a hardcore.
Yeah.
Look, it's still quite a large city, Tonci, and the entire region is pretty massive. But Newcastle itself as a city is quite big. It is surprising when you drive around just how vast and the area is.
Now, Karl, you can't do everything on your own, I guess. So you obviously need a good committee, and the man who we're about to bring on, he's the man that he holds all the decision making when it comes to the money. He's the treasurer, Luka Pilipovic. Luka, a very big welcome to the show. How are you? And what's Karl like? He's the vice president, of course. So he's not the absolute head honcho there. So we can talk, truthfully about him. But what's it like working with Karl in the committee and the rest of the crew?
Oh, look, Karl asked me today, your daughter's going to drama, don't you have enough drama in your life? And I said to him, I'm mates with you, so obviously I don't. So, Karl is all the drama. But the good thing about our committee is you need people like Karl, people that bring everyone together. You need decision makers, you need Živković here, our original president, and our president again. You need
bring him in tighter to the camera.
Yeah. Original president.
Oh, it's Volarevic. It's great to see, Luka.
Yeah, so we need a mix of people to bring everyone together. So we're very fortunate to have this mix of people here in Newcastle that we're able to sort of draw from everyone's skills and make the football team happen.
Now, Luka, we know that the Blugay Nick has the massive responsibility. You've got to make sure bills are paid. You've got to make sure that money comes in as well, right? You guys have had what I would call the biggest sponsor campaign and the longest sponsor campaign that I've seen in recent history. All credit to you. I think Tonci's got some splash pages to share up with our community, mate. But all credit to you. Tell us a little bit about that. Are these people that you've thought about reaching out to, or have people willingly come forward?
Well, people have come willingly forward, and people have also reached out. So a lot of these are actually Karl's contacts and contacts of other committee members in the club. And we've got a number of packages. One of the packages is a $500 package, which is a community sponsorship. So that allows everyone to get forward. And we're very grateful for the support our sponsors have given us.
Yeah, we just got some of the images there, Luka, and it's, there's countless names of businesses that are getting involved, and it all bodes well to have your bills paid on time so that you don't get hassled by debtors and collectors. Right. But you also make sure that the lights are on, and more importantly, it gives you guys an opportunity to build something, to put something together for those plans that Karl was alluding to before.
That's right. Football is a very expensive game in this country. You've got council fees, federation fees, and it becomes very expensive. So it's good to have sponsors on board that are willing to help us out, even if it's if it's not a large contribution, whatever it is, they're willing to help out.
Yeah.
And also people bring their time to help out with the team or whatever it is.
Look, we might just get you to drop.
A bit of problems with the microphone there, the audio there.
Maybe just drop your microphone a little bit lower from your face.
Is that better?
Yep. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Nice.
Okay, so as we're going through the various sponsors there, sorry, Luka, back to you. Hopefully we've rectified the audio issue now.
Re-say that bit.
Guys, what I might do is jump on Karl's camera, because I'm getting a lot of feedback. So give me 2 seconds.
Sure thing, mate.
Okay, as we're talking to the Newcastle Croatia, we're talking to Newcastle Croatia committee members Karl, Živković, and Luka Pilipovic, who are telling us all about the resurgence of the Croatian club in the Hunter region. Luka, over to you. Hopefully now we can hear you better.
All right, guys. Hopefully this is better. So basically, we had a lot of support from the community, not just the Croatian community, but also people in Newcastle. Everyone is keen to see this team back after being away since 1995. So a lot of the sponsors have come in through contacts of committee members. Also, some committee members are running businesses. They're sponsoring the club as well. So it's just great to see everyone supporting this club. And look, this doesn't happen often. I think of it as like basically Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. We all look at it as our last opportunity to bring back history, because a lot of clubs are struggling. Sometimes Croatian clubs, football clubs seem to be doing all right, and you don't realise what you've lost until it's taken away from you. So I've come from Sydney, and I took this sort of stuff for granted. So I moved up to Newcastle 5 years ago, a young family. As a young Croatian, what do? You go to the Croatian club, and you realise you don't have a football team, and it feels like you've lost something and you want to bring it back. So once these clubs are gone, you don't realise how lucky you are to have them. Once they're gone, you'll miss that opportunity in your life, because once you start having kids, you want to take your kids to a club you can associate with, and taking them to play in a Croatian club helps you retain your history, helps you teach your kids about culture as well, about your culture, and just passes it on to the next generation. So part of the motivation behind starting this club, Karl was talking about juniors, is to allow us to have juniors to pass on our culture and history to the next generation. What's more important than that?
Bog vas blagoslovio, Luka. That the touches me right here, man. Love it. So, speaking of sorry, I was going to say, go ahead, Tonci. Go ahead.
I was going to say, look, we're all involved in one way or another with the clubs, and there's more to it than just the fact that it's a soccer club, it's a sports club. Very much so, our Croatian community kind of is dependent on the soccer clubs at the moment. Fortunately or unfortunately, and look. If it's the start, if it's the reason for rejuvenating a community, like it was a situation back in the 1950s, 1960s, all over Australia, and from the soccer clubs, other things sprout, whether it's the Croatian schools, the folkloric groups, the church groups, and what you're not. There may be another thing as well that might start off. But it's so good to see. Karl, what I want to ask the young people, like the young kids coming up through the ranks, when the World Cups come around, the Euro Championships and whatnot, is there a real passion for Croatia, or that sort of feeling that we get with the second generation, or is that's sort of lost a little bit and that needs to be resuscitated?
Look, I can only speak for my own experience, because I was born in Bosnia. So during the war, we lived in Germany. And I still remember the 1996 Euro, where we played against Germany. And And as a young kid, I'm trying to fit into this German society. So I was, I was sort of a bit nervous going to school. What are people going to say? And I was kind of hoping that Germany would win. And I was actually upset when Croatia scored. But then when I went to school the next day, everyone was saying, "Oh wow, did you see what Croatia did? Did you see what Davor Šuker did?" It made me feel really proud to be Croatian. And I think what that does when the national team does well, it makes you reflect on what we as a people can do, because we're only a small country and we achieve great things. We always have great players coming on board, and it gives young people motivation. It gives them self-belief that they can achieve great things. And it really motivates you in life. It doesn't have to be sport. It can be anything. It shows people, especially immigrants, going to another country, that as a Croatian you can do great things. And I think it's very important to. It does bring people together, basically.
It does, mate. And that's probably the wonder of the Croatian community that we're privileged to be a part of. Is no matter around the world, whether it be Germany or other areas in diaspora, America, Canada, right here in Australia. As soon as you see that national team come on the screen, or if you're lucky enough to be there live, it doesn't matter where you're living or where you're from. All of a sudden, red, white, and blues through your veins, and it takes over.
I get goosebumps by you just talking about it. That's how much it means to me and probably the other committee members as well.
Yeah, and look for yourself. You've had to emigrate twice, right? You've left Bugojno, then you had to go to Germany, and now you're here in Australia, right?
That's right.
And hopefully the floods don't force you to emigrate a third time. How is it? How is the situation up there in the Hunter Valley?
Oh, look, Karl's house is pretty close to the river, but he's quietly confident at all times. So I don't think anything would faze him, even if the water started coming above the banks. But it's good for now, and fingers crossed. Everything turns out well.
Yeah. Look, absolute pleasure chatting to you. We certainly look forward to watching Newcastle Croatia this year. Take the field in the league, and who knows? Hopefully, maybe down the track we might even see Newcastle Croatia in the Australia Cup, or maybe the Northern New South Wales NPL, and we'll be able to watch week in, week out. But small steps first. Look, really excited with what you guys have achieved. And now it's from the Bosanski Hrvat, it's time for the Rumunski Hrvat. We're going to bring Josh Popescu on. So, Luka, thank you very much.
Bravo, Luka.
Thanks, guys. Josh, magnificent.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, boss, how are you?
Good. Oh, boss. I'm good, how are you?
Gaffa.
We've got Josh Popescu, the Rumun, as he's affectionately known. He's joining us. He's also the head coach of the senior team there. Josh, how did you get the nickname Rumun?
Oh, I suppose just from my father's Romanian, so Karl come up with the Rumun, so it's sort of stuck with me.
Straight to the point. And your mum's Croatian.
Yeah.
Which part of Croatia out of interest?
To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
All the same, Tonci. All the same. Left, right, up and down. It's all Croatia.
She's probably watching and she'll probably yell at me and say,
She's yelling to the screen now.
Something the old Croatian mum.
That's the one.
Yeah, these days you're not allowed to dish out corporate punishment, but you try telling that to the mums, no chance of that. Josh, all jokes aside, it's an amazing time to be part of the Croatian community in Newcastle. And you've assembled a team. Is it a senior team and a resis team, or just a senior team at the moment?
Yeah, so we have a first grade side and a reserve grade side. So,
Yep.
And then we also have an all-age team as well. So
brilliant. So at the Croatian tournament later this year, it'll be probably the most popular club there, without a doubt. No doubt. Well, I wonder if there's going to be a best debutante competition or award, Josip, huh?
Well, just hand it over, mate. Hand it over. Watch out. The Newcastle guys are coming through.
we're coming for you.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, Josh, well done on taking up the gig, mate. Is coaching been something that you've always aspired for?
Yeah, it has. So, yeah, basically the way it sort of happened was I was in the committee and we're interviewing a few coaches, and the club sort of didn't want to go down that avenue of paying someone to coach the club. They wanted someone more there for the passion. And, yeah, so basically I put my hand up, my brother and I, and decided to take the role on. And, yeah, from my experience playing in the NPL, I've always sort of wanted to be a coach, and, yeah. Here I am.
Very good, mate. And
Tell
then,
us a bit about your playing history. You said you just mentioned you played in the NPL.
Yes, I played back a few years ago. It was called State League, and I played for Valentine Phoenix and Adamstown Rosebuds. So yeah,
that was in the northern New South Wales.
For the uninitiated, Adamstown Rosebud is a very strong outfit.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
yeah.
they were when I was there anyway, but yeah, they are. They always have been.
Sorry, I was just going to say Adamstown Rosebud. Was that the club that originally was the Newcastle Rosebud back in the NSL days, or?
Yeah. So KB United started, and then and then it became Adamstown Rosebud.
Oh, big club, big club.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, so I say, Josh, some mixed results so far through your pre-season. I think there was one shellacking you caught, but the rest have been tight affairs, and even the Steel City Cup was a really good outcome for yourselves, and you did message me and tell me how proud you were of the boys. In your assessment so far, and you're still a little bit away from kicking off for the league, how are you feeling about things?
Yeah, really good. I suppose the most challenging part is bringing all these players to play together in such a short period of time. I do have great players who played in the NPL. I have guys who played in Sydney, guys who played at the Jets, Central Coast Mariners. But the most difficult part was just getting them all to play together. You can have 12 outstanding players, but if they don't all play as a team and play together, it's going to be very hard. But it is challenging. But yeah, no, we have had some great results. We did get a shellacking against Merewether, yes. But I think every sort of team needs that, and I'm sort of happy to get it out of the way early. But Steel right. City Cup, the boys played. They played for the shirt. They played for the badge, and I'm really, really proud of them. So 4-3 against the NPL side. I think they're about 6 divisions higher than us. So.
Yeah, look, speaking of some of the names you got, young McGuinness coming over, that's a massive coup.
So Jakey's one of my good friends. We went out for dinner one night and he was telling me how he wants to quit. He doesn't want to play no more. He was getting into the gym. Just had enough of playing so serious. So I basically said to him, I said, mate, listen, I'm the new head coach of Newcastle Croatia. Come play for me. He's one of my best mates. And, there we are. And now he's loving it.
Keep him in the game and help you guys out too.
No, 100%, mate, 100%.
That's the way. Speaking of the season coming up, who are your biggest rivals locally? Now that you're having to start all over again,
we don't really have rivals. We sort of like everyone. But I am sort of keeping my eye out for Cardiff City. They seem to have a pretty strong squad, and Curry. So they done well in the past couple of years. So they're my two main guns that I'm going for. But every game's going to be a challenge. Be a challenge.
Now you've been striking some interest from the local media too. I hear the renowned Newcastle Herald is getting ready to put a big splash page up for you. What's all that about?
Yeah, so I was sitting at home a couple of weeks ago and my phone kept going off with this number ringing me. And I thought, come on, it's out of work hours. I don't want to answer this.
Scammers.
So I answered. And it was a guy that I used to play at an NPL squad with at Valentine, Alex Pichilov. And I thought he wanted to come play for us. And I was getting so excited on the phone. And he goes, mate, I'm not ringing you for that. I'm ringing you I want to get an interview with you in the Newcastle Herald. And I was gobsmacked. Yeah. I was like, wow. And he goes, I've been following all your social media pages. And he goes, I think it'd be a great write-up. And a couple of weeks ago, me, Dennis Muddincic and Karl went and had a meeting with him. And it should be published next Saturday before our FFA Cup game.
Oh, we look forward to having a read of that, mate, because one of the questions I was going to ask is whenever there's a new team or a new entity that comes into a competition, there's always, I guess, from the existing clubs or, the established clubs, they probably look a little bit down on the newbies. How was the reception and perception been of Newcastle Croatia coming back to life there?
To be honest with you, so there's a forum that we all follow, and everyone's given all these bragging rights about us. So everyone's giving us high hopes and saying we're going to walk the league and stuff. And yeah, so you got to be complacent a little bit. So I'm not sort of listening to that. So it's going to be a tough season. But yeah, all the clubs are pretty stoked, and they've obviously seen players that we've signed. So yeah.
Is it any truth to the rumour that in order to entice players to come over, you've told them about the wonderful Croatian tournament every year? This year being a King Tom, and that's what's holding them in. Is that right?
That's true. I think most of my players go and drink at the national tournament every year. So my nephews, Peter and Jai, I know they're watching. They're the biggest supporters of the Croatian tournament. So, but they'll be playing this year. I'm making them have to. It's in the contract.
That's good. That's good, mate.
What sort of crowds do we get at that kind of competition? And are we expecting, Newcastle Croatia to be the best supported club this year in 2022?
Well, so far, yes. Our trial games, we've had 50 to 100 people come and support us. So my mother obviously come to Australia, however many years ago, and she's seen some people that she hasn't seen in a long, long time.
How good is that?
It's just brought everyone together. So that's probably that's amazing. Yeah.
That's the best part about football, guys, isn't it? Like I know, like I don't live in Geelong at the moment, right? But Tonci and I we'll probably at times won't see each other for a period of time, and then we come to the club, and I think we might have, no offence to the guys playing on the park, we might watch 5 minutes of football, but spend 85 minutes gas bagging about the week ahead.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the football club.
The hardest thing, Josip, was when I used to turn up to North Geelong Warriors games, and I was actually there in a working capacity, and you can't. There's two people trying to talk about this, suggest that, whatever. So you'd either go to the media box by yourself or try and go to some obscure corner to focus on what was happening on the field. But that's all part and parcel of our clubs, and it's great to see.
Yeah, just a little bit more on the football before we unfortunately have to let you go. But the guys, Luka and Karl, mentioned about the juniors and potential mini-roos leading up for 2023. Is there an involvement from yourself about how you want to formulate that? And is there something you want to kick off this year, or do you want to leave it for 23?
To be honest with you, I'm under that much pressure this year. This is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's not coaching 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At the moment, I'm just going to focus on the seniors, and then after the season, we'll work on getting juniors for next year. But I know there is some interest, and I know my little fella, he'll be coming over to play if we have an under sixes side next year. And our cousins and stuff have the same age kids, and hopefully we get that up and running next year. But for now, we'll focus one step at a time. So
no worries, mate. Tonci, I'm going to put it out there here today. If Newcastle Croatia can get their mini-roos up running, whether it be this year or next year, yours truly will come down for however long the boys need me to help out. And if they need some coaching, help and assistance, management, I'll put my hand up now, mate.
Thank you so much.
We've got video evidence there. Episode 8 of the OZ CRO Soccer Show. Zila has promised to come down to Newcastle. It's not that far from Gold Coast, is it? It's just the car.
It's only an hour and 15 flight.
No, Živković's got a helicopter at the back of Maitland.
He's got enough money to have one anyway.
Exactly. Josh, it's been an absolute pleasure. We thank you very much for joining us on the OZ CRO Soccer Show. We look forward to seeing what goes on in the Hunter Valley, in the Hunter region, and we hopefully will get you guys back on later on in the year, and just for a bit of an update, we can see where is Newcastle Croatia. I don't know if you could say it's in the inaugural year, but certainly in its return year.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say on behalf of me and the club, we really do appreciate the support from OZ CRO's Soccer Show and the other Croatian soccer clubs around Australia. It does mean a lot, and we really do appreciate it.
That's what we pride ourselves on, not just us two. I'm talking about our entire community. We get together when we need it, and we're actually the best people on the worst situations. So when it's time to lift people off the canvas, call a Croatian.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us on.
Best comment, one of our readers says, Marica Ana Batkovic-Majdanic says, we are so glad to have a Crow soccer club back here. I agree. Absolutely. Good on you, Josh. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thanks, Joshi. Thanks, guys.
That was Josh Popescu, or known as Rumun, in circles around the Hunter Valley. Mate, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we return, it's going to be an exciting interview. We're going to have two young guns talking about young guns who are currently in Croatia. Well, I guess when you say they've hit the big time, they have, in a sense, they're playing professional football, but they're taking their first steps to carving out a European professional career. Luka Skoko and Nicholas Volarevic. We'll just hear a couple of words from our sponsors. When we return, then we'll hear all about these young lads. Can't wait for this.
Leggera, keep running without.
Welcome back to the OZ CRO Soccer Show. It is episode 8, and still, Josip, I just can't get over the fact that it's episode 8 already. That's just incredible. That is absolutely insane, isn't it?
Episode 8, it is, mate. It's episode 8, and we've had some wonderful conversations and discussions on the show already, and some absolute fantastic big names of the Croatian community in terms of the Australian Croatian community, and it continues on further tonight.
Yeah, it does, mate. Look, it's an absolute pleasure to introduce our next two guests, guys that we know really well, and players we've seen develop down at North Geelong from their junior days, their younger days, to where they are now. And these two young guns are the future. They're at the moment in Croatia, taking their first steps to what we hope is going to be their the professional career. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome the dynamic duo, let's call them that, from former North Geelong Warriors, Luka Skoko and Nicholas Volarevic. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Doing very good, guys. Thanks for having us on.
We should have a sign up, Tonci, that says "Coming to you live from Podstrana."
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, that's basically a suburb of Split where these two gentlemen are. Luka, firstly, over to you. You've signed with second division side NK Dugopolje. Tell us your first impressions of Dugopolje. For those of us that probably haven't been there, not know, all we know is it's an unbelievable second division stadium that they've got there.
I was just about to say the stadium is unbelievable. I think it's the second biggest one in this area here in Potsdam. It's absolutely amazing. That was the first thing that really grabbed my eye.
And the club itself?
The club itself, the coaches are awesome. The boys are pretty welcoming. I'm training with the second team right now, so just finding my feet.
Good stuff.
And Nikki, you've signed with Primorac Stobrec, which is on the outskirts of Split, sort of going down south. You're kind of caught in the middle. Your mum's from the Zadar hinterland. Your dad's from the Metkovic area, and Split sort of seems to be halfway in between. Yeah. So, what's your first impressions of Split, the city, and your new club, Primorac?
Amazing. Just beautiful area. The club's perfect for me at the moment. Since day one, everyone's welcomed me. Training every day is intense, and I'm just loving it so far.
Excellent.
It's a nice area to be around.
You're looking fit, boys?
Yes, thank you. Training every day is non-stop. always doing something.
Is it pretty brutal?
Oh, it is at the start, but you get used to it, I guess.
It comes down to your priorities. It's what we want to be doing, so we love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spot on, man. Hey, boys, I'll go over to you, Nikki. We're a long way from Geelong, mate, in Podstrana. Tell us a little bit, what does North Geelong mean to you? How do you feel about North Geelong when you think about where you've been so far in terms of your career?
North Geelong for me is everything. I've been there since day one. My only club I've been to, basically, besides now Croatia. So I think football in Australia, I think just North Geelong Warriors, and that's the one club I've always played at. So to me, that's everything. So now, obviously, I'm in Croatia now, giving it another go, different, I guess, opportunity for me just to see how it's like overseas.
Yep.
But when I think about North Geelong, it's everything to me. It's a great club.
Good, mate. And you and Luka came through the junior ranks together.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time together, not just as teammates, but as mates off the pitch as well.
Yes, yeah.
Just a little bit about the influences and the major people that have played a part in your life in terms of football, mate.
Well, I guess growing up, being around family and friends, just always watching football, always playing it, doing something with the ball. I know when I was around 6, 7 years old, we met Skoko, but we also came back to Australia with the family, and that's when I met Luka. And since then, we just clicked like good mates, and then always playing football together. I guess Josip played a big impact in me and the player I am today, always motivating me to do better. Obviously now Stuart Beggs in the past few years has pushed me a lot. Also needs a great impact on me, on who I am today and where I am with my footballing career.
Fantastic.
Now, Nicky, look, one of the things that I can't wait to hear about and listen to is your experiences, but also your words of advice. Like, growing up in Geelong, you've played at an NPL club like North Geelong all your life. And I know when I was sort of 16, 17, 18, there were players there that were really, really good that once they get to 19, 20, they kind of either burn out or they discover the girls, the booze, the partying and all of that kind of stuff, very few actually make it to the top. You and Luka are two of those that have, decided to pursue your dreams in Europe, and kudos to you guys. But what are some of the sacrifices that you guys have had to make, or in your case, what are some of the sacrifices you've had to make to be able to get to where you are?
Well, first off, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. Just small ones, like not going to parties or, resting on a Friday night before a game. Obviously eating healthy, drinking healthy, but you can't go out every weekend partying and stuff because you've got to make these small sacrifices. You have training during the week, at a big game on the weekend. Also sacrifice, for example, now going overseas, moving to a different country without family. It's hard sometimes, but at the end of the day, I'm here to play football, and that's obviously a part of it, making a lot of sacrifices. So
I'd say that's the biggest sacrifice by far. Obviously, putting behind everything that we know, going to a new country with a different culture, everything's so different. Just putting everything behind and just challenging yourself to see how far you can go.
Luka, you mentioning going to a new country, it's a different culture. I guess one of the big differences between Croatians and Australian Croatians is probably their mentality as well. And in Croatia, it's kind of a real tough kind of environment. Have you had any what's the word? Confrontations, I guess, with that change of mentality, and how have you adapted to it as opposed to, say, our Australian Croatian way of thinking?
I think it comes down to the passion here, as soccer is the main sport here. So everyone's so passionate for the sport. So all the coaches, the coach I have now, he's very strict. He wants everything to be in order, and just shows how much he cares about every tackle, every game, every result. It's not that the coaches there don't have passion, but he has it's just another level, different world.
Would you say it's a kind of a dog-eat-dog world because there are so many people trying to succeed, and it's like the absolute be-all and end-all? It's not just a kick in the park. It's the difference between some people making a living or putting food on the table for their family.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a dog-eat-dog world. You got to care about yourself, look after yourself, and make sure that you're doing everything you can to be the best you can be.
How did you find that, Nicky? That type of rather kind of a harsh sort of reality check.
I think it's the same what Luka was saying, but I guess just again small sacrifices. If people are training every day and then just having one day a break isn't good enough here. There's people training twice a day, 3 times a day, every single day. It's just I guess the more you train, the more chances you have of making it.
Now, boys, your senior debuts at North Geelong were a little bit, I think, about a year apart.
Yeah.
Luka, you made your first appearance under James Coots. James
Yes.
says hello.
Yeah.
James says hello. I see him every now and again up here on the Gold Coast. Now, if you could take your time back to have a look at that in your mind about that debut, what was that feeling like to get on the pitch? This is your father's and your uncle's home club and your family's home club, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a dream. It was a dream come true. I remember it was a away game against Moreland City, and Cootie sent me aside before the game. He told me I was starting. I was just buzzing, couldn't wait to get on and show what I got. But yeah, I think we ended up losing 3-0 actually, but it was a big. It's something I'll always remember. It's not something you forget. Your first senior minutes, full game as well. So I was very grateful to Cootie.
Look back on that now, that for that opportunity for you to take on and learn from. It's been well advertised, probably in a couple of different articles between you guys arriving in Croatia and today, where it's been said that if you ever wanted to go and have, this is from your father, if you ever wanted to go and overseas to make a go of it, you'd have to stand out in senior football at North Geelong first of all. Well, you did that, mate. You got best and fairest in the last season. So if you think back to that 3-0, don't be too disheartened, mate, because everyone's got a starting point somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to start somewhere.
The last year having such a great year, what did you attest that to? Was it physical preparation, team organisation?
Oh, us boys, we had a very, very good connection between each other. We knew how we played with each other. We knew how all the boys, like I had a good connection with the forward three, so I knew where to find them, and the coaches too, Begsy and Adrian, they were just so good to us. The trainings were so organised, and we just did everything we could to play as well as we could on the weekends.
Excellent. I'll just extend that a little bit, Tonci, with Nicky. Nicky, you burst on the scene last year, and there's one absolute memorable game. I think I lost my voice from yelling that Werribee game, mate. It was outstanding to see you on the park and score that goal. But you made a habit of it. You popped up with a few real crucial goals. Take us to the emotional roller coaster there.
Oh, first off, Stewie told me a week before. He said, "You're not playing 21s next week. You'll be playing seniors only." So for me, that was already amazing, just knowing that I'm a part of the senior squad only. And then obviously we went to the game away to Werribee, played I think the last 25-30 minutes, and then we had a corner and then edge of the box, scored a nice volley, and I don't know, it was just amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was like a dream come true, scoring my first senior goal in that way. Also, was just words can't describe the feeling.
I think his celebration showed that.
Yeah. And having all the boys around me, all my close friends, just so special, makes it 10 times better.
Yeah, it is a tight unit there at North Geelong. There's no doubt about that, mate. Well, both those experiences will stand there for you guys to build on. And now you're in Croatia. For both of you, was Croatia always going to be the first destination you give this a crack?
Go, Luka.
For me, I'd say yes. I'd say it was my first destination, really, just because I got family here, so it'd be the easiest to adjust to the lifestyle.
I think just for me personally, I think last year in the 21s, I was scoring a few goals, and then eventually towards the end of the season, I was playing with seniors for a few games, scored a few goals, and I was like, so my parents discussing why not go overseas, give it a crack, and Croatia was a destination. So it's something different for me, I guess.
Now, I guess, Nicky, this is a team sheet from Primorac of the 26th of February. So you're named off the bench on the senior team there. Did you end up coming on? And
so I've played 2 games so far. So I came on for the last 15-20 minutes in my first game. We ended up losing 1-0, and then that was just a practice game though. And then I played last week. We lost away in a league game. So
And how is Primorac doing at the moment? So is it the fourth tier? How does that structured? Yep. And it's the Splitska, Dalmatinska Županija.
Yeah, there's two leagues that are like full Croatia, like you travel the whole country. And then I think the third league goes like regional sort of.
Regional, yeah, and it's obviously changing next year with all of that. How would you rate? How would you, Nicky? First of all, with you, how would you rate the standard of the football at Primorac Stobrec and some of the opponents he played, particularly at senior level, comparing it to say NPL2 with North?
Yeah, well, I think here, everyone's good here, no matter what, because they've obviously been playing their whole life, street soccer or whatever it may be. Obviously, training every single day makes a big impact on the team and the quality that we have. So I think from here, Primorac to NPL level, it's a bit different, I would say, in terms of quality. I think here we just train every single day, so it does help quite a lot.
So you'd say that the standard there is higher than NPL?
Yeah, I'd say so, yes.
Yeah, interesting. And Luka, what about yourself? What have you been your experiences so far with Dugopolje, the second team? You said you were training with them. Have you played any games? Have you managed to get breakthrough?
Yeah, we went to Istra. We had a game in Istra on Sunday, so I played the last 20 minutes. We lost 3-1, but we had a red card, so it was a tough game. Yeah. Got a red card in like the 40th minute, so...
Yeah, and how would you...
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, and how would you compare the standard of football there that you're playing at Dugopolje with what you've experienced in Australia?
I would say the intensity is like an NPL1 and NPL2. Just the technique is so much better here. Everyone plays one touch. They don't really hang on to the ball much. Just the technique is just so good.
Now, you didn't answer my question from the other day, Luka. You posted that image of in Istra, but you didn't tell me what was on special at Plodine.
That was just my bus stop there.
I'm joking. That's a bit of an inside joke. I saw a photo he put up. It was around about where the bus stop was, and Plodine is in the background. I thought, oh, what's on special, Luka?
Yeah. Well, speaking of, what's over there and what's on special, how are you guys finding just the lifestyle? How are you acclimatizing to the lifestyle, the language as well? Are you finding it, a bit of a culture shock at first? Just general life in general, or you are mixing pretty well because you are both, I suppose, Dalmatinci, so the temperament, the culture does make it a little bit easier to kind of fathom. Nicholas, over to you first.
Yeah.
Have you been down to Metkovic where your parents are from?
Yeah, I was there for the first week. So settled in there for about a week. I was there for a week and then came back to Split to reunite with Skoko, and us two have been living here in an apartment together. But I guess the lifestyle here is so much different in a good way. Everyone, or for Luka and I, we both train in the morning. Then during the day, we'll go out, explore a few things, or either do another training session and then club training at night. Mm-hmm. So we're always doing something. But the lifestyle here is just amazing. Just going out for a coffee or whatever it may be. It's just different in a good way.
Yeah. Life is pretty normal. COVID restrictions slowly coming down.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard.
I don't really mind.
COVID. I forgot about COVID, to be honest.
No masks. It's all pretty easy, like laxy daisy.
Yeah, Luka, for you it's a little bit easier, I guess. You got your grandmother, you've got your mum there at the moment.
And his uncle's upstairs as well.
Yeah, he's upstairs as well.
The family's there. Has that made that transition that little bit easier for you personally?
It's made it a lot easier, especially for the first week. That like my auntie would cook for us, for me and Nicky, and it was just one less worry you have to worry about, and they made it so much easier to settle in, especially like we're not alone. Then me and Nicky had someone to turn to, and it just made it a lot easier.
I was going to ask about that. Does the loneliness kick in? I mean, you've got each other to lean on, which is great because you're childhood friends. But there would be that separation anxiety to some degree because a large chunk of your life is on Aussie shores, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What would you try to share with other aspiring young athletes looking for this sort of similar situation?
Yeah, we usually train early morning, and then I train really late at night at 8 p.m. with the team, and then Nicky trains at 4. So there's a bit of waiting around. So we're lucky we have each other. We can go out for coffee, find something to do. So it helps a lot.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to share something with the young Aussie Croats looking for a similar situation to what you've put yourself into, give us a little bit of advice about how someone would go about it. Would be directly to clubs? Do you need to go through a contact of some sort of an agency?
I think the main thing is always just doing something. You can never train enough. Always kick the ball around, go for a run, or do whatever you can, because you don't want to have any regrets when you're older and tell yourself, I could have done this, could have done that. So while you're still young, make the most of it before it's too late, I guess.
Yeah, you got to be prepared to put your head down and work as hard as you can when you come in this environment.
You often hear coaches say you got to do those little bit extra. Always do 10% of everything extra, and that'll always benefit. Is that something you guys would definitely agree with?
For sure, 100%. Yeah.
Beautiful. Gents, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to have to wind it up. The blokes from Newcastle, Croatia, sure knew how to talk, and they spoke for a long time, so we've gone a little bit over time. Nonetheless, we hope to have you guys back on the show. And just very, very quickly, any messages for your family, friends back in Geelong? First of all, Nicholas, over to you. What would you like to say to your family and friends in Geelong and Canberra?
I don't know. I guess I'm waiting for them to come visit me one day, hopefully. That's it.
Sooner rather than later. Luka,
I'll see you soon, I guess.
Yeah, much of the same from me. Just hi to all my friends and family. I miss them a lot, and hopefully I see them soon.
Good stuff. You guys, make sure you say hi to Baka, Anja, Luka, your mum, uncle and auntie, Gubby, and I forgot your sister's name.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah, but please send my regards.
Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of an epic OZ CRO Soccer Show episode, Josip. But before we do go, we've got a couple of društvene obavijesti, if you like, for want of a better word, some social news happening as well.
Yeah, so we've got some big events happening throughout this coming up weekend in Western Australia at Western Nights. We have the Family Day coming up, so all the members can come out and renew their memberships. Hear the latest news from the club. Definitely some juniors and seniors games going on there. The typical food and festivities that goes on around the Croatian environment. So don't be a stranger. Pop into Lenpack Reserve and get yourself involved for the season.
And I guess closer to home for me, in a sense, North Geelong is having its traditional festa this Sunday long weekend. There's going to be heaps and heaps of stuff available. All-day entertainment. Gola Gitara. They'll be back. Hrvatska Zora, Hrvatsko kulturno-umjetničko društvo Lado, providing all the cultural entertainment. Lots of kids' activities, giant slide, as you can see on the screen there. Jumpy castle, cha-cha ride, face painting. There's a festa menu. There's a couple of football games as well. And
a bit more than a couple, Tonci. We've got the St Albans Dynamo Juniors taking on our North Geelong Juniors in the NPL.
I think that's been moved, actually. I think that's been moved to the...
I beg your pardon.
Could have been moved to the Monday, I think it is. I think that's the latest news. But it is going to be a season launch day. The senior men's, the under 20s, under 18s, the women's teams, they'll be presented from 5:30. So it's an all-day event. There will also be the presentation of the junior boys and girls and the mini-roos from 12:30. In other news to do with North Geelong, the senior men's and senior women's, the draw for the Australia Cup was held today, round 4. North Geelong has drawn an away tie against Moreland City. Those games will be played either on the Tuesday or Wednesday of 22nd, 23rd of March, or Tuesday and Wednesday of the 29th and 30th of March. The other Croatian club, St Albans Dynamo, at home to Melton Phoenix, as mentioned earlier in the program. Boroondara Kerry Eagles taking on the Melbourne Knights. Doveton taking on Strathmore. And Dandenong City have got the bye.
And we must have some good luck, Charles. With Strathmore, not just Sabalia, but Strathmore won 2-1 as well.
They did. Just after they appeared on our show, so that was good as well. And breaking news as well, the North Geelong women's team, who were supposed to take on Deakin Ducks this weekend in the Nike FC Cup, well, the Deakin Ducks have unfortunately forfeited. So North Geelong Warriors women go straight through to round 3, and they will then be joined probably by fellow Geelong sides, Geelong Rangers, Lara United, hopefully, and Geelong Galaxy United as well. So the North Geelong women's doing some fantastic things there as well. Josip, next week we've got a big show where it's St Albans Saints will be out.
We go back to Churchill Reserve and catch up with the crew and start discussing a bit further around their juniors and their programs that they've got going on, but also what's coming up the following weekend for them.
Yeah, for them, they've got the big Croatian derby at home to Melbourne Knights that weekend. But also coming up I think in the next 2 weeks, I think as well, they've got the IND Juniors Cup happening there at Dinamo as well. So lots of activity happening at St Albans Dinamo over the next 3-4 weeks. So and on top of that, I think this weekend they've got the big top of the table clash. Dinamo taking on South Melbourne.
Yeah.
So 1v2, that should be an absolute.
Well, I'm looking forward to another 2-1 win. We seem to be doing these 2-1 win vibes, so let's get another one for St Albans.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Okay, Dinamo.
Come on, Dinamo.
You got to do it. So that game on Sunday, 5 p.m. at Churchill Reserve should attract a bumper crowd. St Albans taking on South Melbourne. Good luck to all of the Croatian clubs taking part in any competition around Australia. It should be a fantastic weekend of matches. Mate, I look forward to next weekend, and it will be another big show, on no doubt.
Looking forward to it already, mate. And thanks everyone for joining on the call today for tonight. And luck and watch.
Good night.